I just pray that we act in that way in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Shelley, would you like to do the roll call? Ani.
Here.
Ani.
Here.
Carly Bedford.
Here.
Joe Burke. Tom Cruises.
Here.
Wanda Hatfield. Rach Jordan.
Here.
Dick Black. Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Leo Smith.
Here.
Janice Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. David Walkingstick. Brian Warner.
Ani.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to apologize to everyone that we're starting late. We've kind of been overlapping on our meetings today, and I want to apologize for getting off to a late start. George, would you like to start us today? Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve our minutes of the last meeting.
Make a motion they be approved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you. Merry Christmas, George.
Merry Christmas. Good afternoon. I think you should have a copy of my report there in front of you. Visits are good. Revenue's up so far. The remodeling project in the emergency room is going well. We had to close off the back hallway completely to patient access for about just over 24 hours, and that went smooth. That went without a hitch. Over the weekend, we did a remodel in the dental clinic. We put all brand new cabinetry in the dental clinic. The stuff we pulled out was actually the original cabinets that were put in 1979. So it's been a little while coming. We had my chief pharmacist, Captain Mike Lee, we sent him up to Dillingham, Alaska for a couple weeks on a detail to help up there in their pharmacy and kind of get them rolling. We sent him up with policies and procedures to try to get them back in line. So that was well. He was there through the earthquake. He did well, and he returned today. So he came back in one piece. So, any questions?
I have one, George. George, I saw where your revenue increased 49.6% over the same period over the previous year. What do you attribute that to?
Our visits have gone up, and we're really pushing hard. We take the McManus audit when they come in and audit our business office practices, not just the numbers, but the practices. And we take those to heart, and we try to change and tweak our processes so we can get every last dollar, collect every last dollar we can.
Well, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Councilor Buzzard.
Just curious about this question, George. How many providers is there at the hospital that bill for insurance, Medicare?
I don't know right off the top of my head.
Fine, I'd be interested in
Okay.
how many providers that bill. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment.
Yes, Janice.
I noticed on here, and this may have been last month too, but it bears repeating that our orthopedic patients are going to Tulsa now after months and months and months of trying to get them out of Oklahoma City. So
Yes, in
thank
fact.
you for your perseverance on that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, Cherokee Nation Health Services. I don't believe Dr. Grimm's with us, but Dr. Stephen Jones is here.
Yeah,
Welcome,
good afternoon.
Dr. Jones.
Merry Christmas.
What's new in your neck of the woods?
A lot. So as you know, Dr. Grimm has resigned, and I'm acting deputy director at this time. So been in this for about 24 hours. So I'll try to answer questions on anything I can. A few things I wanted to point out, though, on our health committee report. There was a person who got an award, Coleman Cox, as a Preventionist of the Year. If you saw that on the one that we put out for kind of the short version. Also, when you look over at the pie chart, I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page on some of the terminology or some of the labeling. Where it says self-pay, that would be uninsured. But self-pay comes out of our electronic health record as a label, and it probably needs to be cleaned up on this report. And then under commercial, that's your insurance patients. So just so that you know, that's what the definition is there. When I first looked at that, it's a little bit confusing, but that way it'll clear it up a little bit and give you a little more insight to how that pie chart is supposed to read. Okay. The other thing I want to touch on is, as you know, the CMS survey finished up this last week, and if you don't mind, I'll read a statement from Dr. Grimm that he sent out. I know you guys have a statement also, but he said, "Good afternoon. As most of you know, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services were on site this week to complete a validation survey. A team of 3 arrived on Monday and concluded their survey on Wednesday. Their focus was on 4 areas: pharmacy, nursing, patient rights, and infection control. During an exit conference held on Wednesday, we were informed that we are in full compliance. As each survey reported on their observation, they also made statements such as, 'We are so impressed with the amount of work and resources devoted to improving your health system. You have a very strong team, and hard work is evident. We could not be happier with what we have seen during our visit. You did an excellent job in such a short period of time. You have made our job easier, and we are leaving happy.' He would also like to express his heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to all the staff who worked with their dedication and commitment to the success of the health system. Because of you, our health system will continue to provide quality care and services to our patients and provide jobs for more than 2,400 employees. Well done." So we completed that survey. Everything is closed up, and we are now back under D&B. Okay.
You know, Dr. Jones, if you don't mind, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
About myself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been a dentist since 1992. I graduated from, I went to Northeastern to undergrad. After 3 years, I got accepted into dental school and then went to school at the University of Oklahoma. Upon completion of that, I came back and worked for Cherokee Nation, opened up the Redbird Smith Clinic. At the time, it was the first dental clinic not under compact. And then after 2 years there, moved up to Wilma P. and helped open that facility. After that, I went into private practice till 2012. In 2012, I came back to work for the tribe.
And what type of work were you doing before you were tapped in your new position?
I was the senior dental director. I have lots of an entrepreneurial side to me also, and I have, you know, several business entities over the years that I've been involved with, and hope to bring that expertise to this position.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Jones? Yes, Counselor Crittenton.
I was contacted last, probably 2 weeks ago. A lady that had been in a car wreck, and she's paralyzed, and she said, "Are they moving the physical therapy out of the Wilma Mancular Clinic while they go through their construction there?" And I said, "I don't think so." And then I found out that was the plan, to have them go to Tahlequah or Salisaw. And after she had contacted me, a few others had. What's the plan as it is right now?
I know I've been made aware that you've had that concern. Plan as of last week was to move the services to Salisaw. I've asked that we look at that extensively this morning, and I have a few people working on that as we speak. And so hopefully I'll give you an answer a little bit later in the week.
Trying to find a
way.
Now, there's 2 or 3 places that contacted me about maybe having available space, and I know, you know, in the health field, it's got to be the right type of building, sanitary, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'd be happy to get those to you, those things. But you're looking into that.
We are looking into it currently. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's really good. I had an elder call me, and 2 or 3 times, and in one evening, and I got with her. I went to her house, and what's the process that we have, and at Wilma Man Killer Clinic. That's what I'm talking about, but I'm sure others may know or be interested in. If she's going to a clinic and she needs help getting in the door, do we have a separate number she can call to get help? How's that process work?
That I don't know for sure, but I will find out for you.
Yeah,
I know at the hospital that has come up a couple of times where I've been involved in it, and we usually make arrangements for security to help get those people in.
Let me ask you this, because now she had, and I know you just stepped into this position, and I'm not, Dr. Grimm was helpful any time that I called him. I believe he tried to make things happen for the folks, but the elder, 80-something years old, and needs a cane or a walker. But she was scared. When I went to her house, she had a orange, looked like a ticket you would get at from a police officer. It was just fluorescent orange and had all of her car information on there, and had something about being towed. That wasn't checked, so I don't think there was any danger about it being towed, but it scared her. And I assured her that, with that, nothing was going to happen with it. But she's, the way Man Killer, they have the little circle drive, and she's been, when she goes to get her medicine, and just parking right there so she can get out. And I mean, we're talking Cherokee, elder, 80-something years old, and I know we got to have our, the parking thing, or everybody'd be getting in the way. But I'm sure you feel this way. I would not want her getting another one of those. So if I can relay her something, that says here's a number that you can get through to. Sometimes, and I know they're busy down there, but sometimes I can't get through. And just maybe even a separate number for that maybe goes straight to security. Hey, I'm on my way, I'm out in the parking lot, and where if she parks in the other places, they can come out and help her get in. But I'd sure like you to check in on that, because I would have thought worst case that the security would have, places not that big would have kind of, let's see whose vehicle this is, and if it's, and just talk to her. But I'm confident you'll get back with me on that, and we can get a process that maybe will help that. She was sure scared about that. But I'm just going to have to thank you for checking on that physical therapy deal and checking on this one.
Okay, we'll look into it, and I'll get you an answer back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Quinton. Councilor Buzzard.
Yes, Dr. Jones. I had sent Dr. Grimm an email requesting the numbers of veterans that we see at each clinic in our 14-county jurisdiction, or wherever we have a clinic. And he emailed me back and said Cerner wasn't able to pick that up. They thought he could probably ask a staff at those clinics to get those numbers. I'd like to see those numbers for veterans. The other thing on this pie chart that you showed us, 0 to 19 is 26.6%. Those people are being seen 0 to 19 years of age. I'd like to know why. And the reason I say that is usually people 19 or under, 18 under, no one ever goes to the doctor. But yet we're seeing 26.6, almost a quarter of them going. So I'd be curious to see what the top projection is for those people.
I'm sure it picks up all the children well checks, and this time of year, of course, you have flu and all kinds of things going on in our health system with, as you know, kids.
If you could break that down, I'd like to see
Okay.
it, because you can't hardly get a teenager to go see a doctor. And it could be most of them maybe babies on it, so it'd be interesting to see. Those numbers just kind of stood out for me, so if Cerner could break that down, hopefully they could take a look at that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'll ask for that.
Thank you.
Councilor Anglin.
Thank you, Chair. Could you send, would you ask Gail to send all your contact information
Absolutely.
to us, because, so we can just directly get a hold of you or something?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
One more, man.
Certainly, Counselor Crittenden.
Oh,
Sure.
Doctor, who's kind of, is it still gonna be Dr. Montgomery? That when we need to email, if we need to tag someone, like Dr. Graham, I'd always tag Dr. Montgomery, and in the past, I'd tag Dr. Stallcutt. So is it still gonna be Dr. Montgomery?
At the current time, everything is status quo. I haven't made any changes, or I haven't even, like I said, I've been in this for 24 hours, so we're trying to get our head wrapped around the enormity of what we're facing. So I want to get up to speed on all the issues that are going on, and so no changes have been made at this point. So as far as that goes, just continue to, you can send it directly to me if you'd like once you have that contact, and then I can disseminate it out from there on who needs to get that information back to you.
Dr. Jones, would you mind sending us all your contact information, refreshing our memories,
Absolutely.
future reference? Yes. Counselor Shambaugh.
So you're our interim healthcare director now? Do you have any
Deputy
idea-
director at this point.
Pardon?
Dr. Grimm's still here, so I'm the deputy director at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
When does that process start to find another director to replace Dr. Grimm? How much longer is Dr. Grimm going to be here?
To my knowledge, he's here till mid-January, and according to the statement, they were going to start immediately on a national search.
Thank you.
Okay. I have just a few questions
Sure.
here. On the pie chart, it's got Medicaid, Medicare, commercial, VA, and then self-pay. Can you define what self-pay is to me?
That's your uninsured, and that's why I was saying the label is incorrect when you look at that. That's your the patients we see that have no third party, but it's labeled that way in the Cerner structure when they run the report, and so we need to label it a little differently when we give that information to you.
When patients, our citizens actually present themselves, are they given the opportunity at our hospital or clinics to talk with someone about possibly qualifying for free insurance?
Absolutely.
Does that happen?
Yeah, we do have patient benefit advocates that are encouraged to help.
Are they at every facility?
To my knowledge, at this time, yes, but I will have to check on that for sure.
Counselor Vasquez, did you have a question? Okay. Another question. Is contract health connected to our EHR, our electronic health records?
The referral process is.
The referral processes, can you explain to me why we repeatedly hear that there's such a problem with the physicians connecting, I guess, to the referrals with the patients? There's a communication problem there. Are you aware of this?
Not completely.
Dr. Montgomery, are you probably aware of this?
Yes.
Yes. Is there any way that can be worked upon to where it can be expedited somewhat for these patients waiting on referrals? For a communication factor, I mean?
Again, Dr. Jones, I think, is aware of this, that the actual, once the referral's placed, the decision's made to approve or disapprove the referral within 24 hours. So just know internally, the process of evaluating those referrals, the turnover on that is very quick.
Would you mind coming up here so everyone can hear it that's listening? Thank you, appreciate that.
This predated my return, but with the implementation of Cerner, one of the, what's the word I want to use, challenges that we weren't able to fulfill with the new EHR was a seamless interaction between the EHR and our contract health department. Contract health was very foreign to Cerner. They just had never done anything like a tribal health systems contract health department. So they didn't have the programming in place that made for seamless communication between the provider, EHR, and our contract health department. So we've operated, as we always have, independent of the EHR with the processing of those referrals. And you're right, there can be a slight delay in the return of that information to the provider. But again, the decision making happens very quickly. And I think we improved on that from even the time that we implemented the EHR in terms of getting those decisions made, approving or disapproving referrals. And I think those numbers for the approval rate of contract health referrals has been published before. You've seen those numbers, and we have a very high rate of approval, and we can get that information for you at the next committee meeting. And again, in terms of the process, we've got staff that are dedicated to that. Nurse case managers, I don't know if you've heard that term before, that are working in each clinic to get those referrals processed, contact the office for appointments for patients, get information back from the doctor's office, scan it into the EHR, and they do a great job with an enormous amount of information that, yes, I wish was all electronic, but it's not.
Dr. Montgomery, is it possible there's a module for Cerner that would expedite this quicker? I mean,
we've had that discussion with them since day one, and again, it's not a simple fix in terms of programming an EHR with the complexity of what our contract health department represents.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I hope that helps. I hope that helps.
It does. It answers it. Yeah. I mean, does anybody have any questions about this? Yes, Councilor Crittenton.
Well, not about that, ma'am.
Not about that. Okay.
I will say, if you'll notice on your report, 97.5% of the referral is the referral approval rate. So,
and I think that's wonderful. You guys, that's huge. We ought to applaud that. That's amazing to have that kind of referral. I do, Councilor Crittenton, I'll defer to you.
I want to say that Mr. Carey back there, man, I appreciate you. Thank you. In this business that we're all in, there's folks you can see their heart for the people, and I appreciate what you've stepped in and done. Dr. Jones, so just in emergency cases, I've got Dr. Jones, Dr. Montgomery. Give me a couple of names I can CC if there's just something going on at night. What's the chain right below there?
it just depends on where we're going with it, on which way we're going to go. If it has to go out to someone specifically out into a clinic or with a health, with the medical director in that area, or if it needs to stay with us. So I'm not sure.
With the changes, they've already asked for your contact information, but we send out just a little bullet point of some of those others, because I usually rely on 2 or 3 and they get me where I need to go. But if you can get that information, just maybe 3 or 4 more names, that'd be great to include. We had some emergent. I appreciate Dr. Montgomery. The other night we had a serious issue with the young man that I had to bother him after hours. So anyway, I appreciate some more contacts just if we need them. Thank you.
The information was shared with me that our formulary is not far from being up online, and I'm really excited about that, and I think our citizens will be as well. And I want to congratulate you for that. That's awesome, and that is exciting that it's coming. Very quickly, what are the cost of glasses for an at-large citizen?
That I don't have. Get that and get back with you. It's like I said, I've just been in this short period of time. Can't have all the details yet. So, do you know the answer to that?
I'd like to get back with you on that. Yes.
Okay, I would appreciate that. And Dr. Jones, since you would be familiar, what would it cost for an at-large citizen to come in and have dental procedures? What are the costs involved for that?
There are no costs unless we get into the Crown program, which is something that we added on years ago, and that's it's an add-on in our scope of care. Crowns weren't something that we were doing, so that's the only thing that has a cost associated with it, and it's merely to cover our lab bill.
Okay, and glasses? While you're looking up the cost of one, if you could look up glasses, hearing aids, and perhaps share that information at the next meeting for our at-large citizens. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Warner.
Just really quick, I run into a citizen the other day that had recently had cataract surgery. So his vision improved, but he still needed the aid of glasses, but he wasn't eligible for a new set. So could you kind of look at that and see if there's like special cases? I'm not sure how many of those will be, but he was just kind of concerned and said, well, I need a new set, but it's not the same prescription, so it made him ineligible because it had already, that's what they were telling him.
you would just
Okay.
forward us their name and we'll look into
Okay.
it,
Yep.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, is there any other business? Because we have a chance here, maybe getting back on schedule. Any other, any other business for Dr. Jones or Dr. Montgomery? Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And good luck, Dr. Jones.
Thank you.
Dr. Montgomery, Dr. Jones, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you all.
Okay, is there any old business? Okay, under new business, I'd like to share, I have a resolution authoring the principal chief to execute certain contracts. Can I move that? Yes, Denise. Okay. Second?
Second or make a motion?
You make the motion.
Yeah, I'll make the
Oh,
motion.
I'm sorry.
Make the motion.
Counselor
Second.
Taylor is making the
I
motion.
got
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
I have discussion.
Okay. Oh, please. Yes.
Why isn't this in rules? Why is this in health?
Missy, would you like to
So-
answer that?
Sure. So it's simply a resolution. Because it was limited to health, we approached Counselor Shaw about possibly being the sponsor of this and putting it on the health committee. I don't think there's any technical requirement that it has to be in rules committee, and part of the back and forth was we wanted this limited to health and specifically to the joint venture project. So we asked Counselor Shaw to put it on health committee.
Now, what's the difference of this and what we approved 6 to 8 months ago?
So that one was not a waiver. This will specifically allow for the chief for contracts for the clinic to sign waivers of sovereign immunity.
Because before, when the last legislation that we approved, if you guys were going to waive sovereign immunity, you guys had to come to the tribal council.
Correct.
And now this is saying, now the chief has the ability to waive sovereign immunity.
For contracts for the clinic. And it was because we approached you with the other one thinking that that would take care of most of the contracts, but we are finding, for example, we have one right now that is a 2-part contract where we ordered equipment from a company. There were no issues with waivers. They are coming to install it. We've already bought the equipment. It's their equipment. They have to install it, but they want a limited waiver of sovereign immunity in order to come on to our ground. So if one of their people get hurt or whatever, they can sue us. And so we're seeing these situations come up that, I mean, I talked about this last time when we told you we were going to bring this forward. We just don't think we're going to have time to get these in front of council through the normal process because of the urgency which we have to get the clinic open.
Christy, is there a dollar amount on this?
There's not as written.
Is there a way that we can put a dollar amount on this, or is this council? Because here's the thing, transparency is pretty good. For you guys, getting back with us, but I'm afraid that this will kind of keep us in the dark on some things. If you guys would be willing to put a dollar amount to come back to the council, I could probably support this, but I can't support the way it's written right now. You guys kind of hear?
We run into the same issue though. If we put a dollar amount, let's say that whatever it is, 50,000, 100,000, and then we have one sitting in front of us that's for 150,000, and we need it in order to get the equipment ordered and scheduled install and everything
I
else.
understand the red tape. I get that. I just don't like the last time we had problems with it because a lot of the counselors were thinking, well, we're going to be left on the dark on these big contracts that we're signing with folks. But, now you're asking us for the executive branch to have full authority to waive sovereign immunity with only these contracts that deal with the hospital. And it was, I don't know. I don't want to put red tape on you guys, but then again, I don't want this body and this tribe to be held responsible because we're putting everything on one person instead of it being a 17-member body that holds the tribe accountable.
I understand that, but let me just briefly, I know we're trying to get caught back up, tell you about the process we go through in these contracts. I can assure you that neither the chief nor the AG's office ever wants to sign a waiver of sovereign immunity.
I understand.
So the process is, this goes through health contracting and finance contracting. If there's a language, if there's waiver language in it, we attempt to negotiate it out. Most of the time, we're successful with that, but occasionally we are not. Also, we are even recommending a contract for signature that would be a waiver. We would make sure that that waiver was limited to what was necessary for the contract. So just because you waive sovereign immunity for a contract doesn't mean that they can separately sue you on something else. It's specifically for damages that could occur under that contract. Oftentimes, it's limited to the contract amount itself. So we are, this isn't where we're trying to just give stuff away and open up to be sued. I mean, we're really, really working hard, but we're still running into these that, again, just it's because of the timing. And part of what we put in here, because we wanted to ensure council that we weren't trying to hide the ball, was we will, separately have these contracts ready and available in our office if you guys want to come see them at any time, so you don't have to go through the GRA process. You don't have to go through FOIA. We'll keep them with at our receptionist front desk, and if you're a council member, she's going to let you look at them, so you do know what's going on with them. But
Well, Chrissy, there's a difference between, software contracts and then construction equipment, contracts. There's more litigation, there's more lawsuits that are tied with those. And so it's more extensive,
It is.
And so, I don't know, Chairwoman, I have some hesitancy.
I would like to say that when I agreed to author this, they explained very clearly to me that this is strictly for the use this time for the Cherokee Nation Tahlequah outpatient facility, which is scheduled now to open in June. And yes, Chief, would you like to say a word?
Yeah, and nobody is more reluctant to waive sovereign immunity than I am. And it's not just one guy sitting up there saying, oh yeah, I'll do this one, I'll do that one. It still goes through all the processes. But we're talking IBM, we're talking GE on all the imaging machines that are going to come in. They're multi-million-dollar machines, folks. And you can't just go shop them. I mean, you can't go buy them someplace else. We're going to have to do it. And the downside of this, if we take our normal time to try and negotiate everything before we bring it to you to say we've done the best we can, we can't do it. If we miss the deadline, we will not get $25 or $26 million from the federal government for opening early. Now, if we don't get that, it doesn't mean we get it later. It means it's gone, and we go into the next year's funding.
How many cases are we looking at of waiving sovereign immunity? Or what are you guys anticipating?
Well, right now we have one. Then this was the issue of the equipment that we already bought and had to be installed. But we are just now.
And we've already paid for it.
Right. We paid for the equipment. We haven't paid for the installation. We are just now getting to. They are currently in the process of making some of those big equipment purchases, including IT. I don't know if there's a waiver or not because it's 60 pages and I haven't looked at it, but we got one for IT equipment today. So we don't anticipate this to be a lot, but the ones that we think are going to be coming across they're going to be very important. They're going to be very time sensitive. Some of them on the equipment, they can't finish the construction of the room that it goes in until we actually pay for the equipment and have the specs and the size of it so they know where all the lines are run and everything else. So it's so tight in trying to get this to June 1, July 1, I can't remember what the date is, that we are just afraid if we don't have this, we're going to run into a situation where, let's say one pops up today. So your next meeting is not until January. And in that amount of time, and if it doesn't go, if rules comes the day after tribal council, we may be looking at 45, 50 days before we actually get something in front of tribal council to sign the contract. And we can't do any of those purchasing, we can't do that if we don't have a signed contract. And so the purpose of this was to be very limited, but to give on the front end the chief the authority to sign these contracts for the clinic. We specifically limited it to the clinic in an effort to protect Cherokee Nation, but I just don't know how else we can do it.
Multi-million-dollar equipment and stuff, it generally results in multi-million-dollar lawsuits. How many lawsuits are we in, or have we been in the past that dealt with this contracted equipment through the health?
So I don't know, but this wouldn't affect that. So this doesn't mean some third party, some patient that gets injured by something gets to sue us. This is to the company.
Is there any? Oh, go
More
ahead.
at the time, these contracts, the only downside to us is if we don't pay our bills. And we're paying cash for most of this stuff. Or all of it. Yeah, we're paying cash for all of it. So they're not going to come back on us for non-payment because we're paying for it. We just got to get them under contract and on site and the stuff coming this way. That's the deal. And so I don't feel so bad about waiving sovereign immunity when I know that we're paying cash for it and we're not going to not pay them later and they're going to be able to come back and sue us.
Sure.
The liability's on them, not on us. So.
Right, we don't assume all liability because we do a waiver. The waiver is to the contract. So if we don't pay the bill or if we don't meet some other obligation to the person we're purchasing from, they can sue us. It doesn't allow a patient who's, potentially injured by faulty equipment to sue us because we waived immunity in a contract with a vendor. That's something completely different. We would still claim sovereign immunity in that case. We are only waiving as to the person we're entering the contract with and what we are contracting for. And all it means is that if we violate that contract, they can sue us. Because typically we say, even if we have a contract with you and we don't uphold our end of the bargain in the contract, you can't sue us because we're immune. This is saying, as far as the contract goes and the obligations in there, if we don't follow them, you can come after us. And it's usually for payment.
I don't have more questions. Thank you, Chair.
So it appears like we're not going to be in breach of our contract if we're, paying for it with cash.
Yeah.
I think what would be very helpful if you kept us informed. I know you said the secretary would have that information. Maybe you just need to share it with our chair of our health committee, then she can distribute it out and let everybody know. These are the contracts that so far has been
Sure.
taken
We
care of.
would be happy to let you know which ones.
We just want to be in the know of what are we spending there.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Because in that budget mod, I don't think everybody looked at it. It was quite a substantial amount in that budget mod that we just approved. Okay.
Councilor
Thank you, Madam
Taylor.
Chair.
Okay, and that kind of leads into what I was going to just clarify real quick with Chrissy. There's two things in this legislation that I like. It specifically says it's for that outpatient facility only. It also has an end date that this resolution is effective. And so once May 16th, 2020, it's done. We will still see the budget mods for the equipment that was purchased. That has nothing to do with whether we see it or not. Okay, that's all I have.
So the motion's been made for the resolution. All those, Councilor Buzzard, I'm sorry.
What I see in it says copies of a contract executed pursuant to this resolution will be maintained in the Office of Attorney General and will be available for review by tribal council upon request. Chrissy, why couldn't we just get a copy of those contracts and if it's confidential, stamp confidential on it, instead of each one of us tribal council run up there to take a look at it?
Well, as I just said, the one I got today was 60 pages. I'm not sure that you want them. What I would absolutely be willing to do is provide a list. And then if you want them, they are...
A list would be fine with me.
We can do that. And I can do that as a reporting mechanism.
It need to be confidential, Send it to I just don't see 16 or 17 tribal council members going to the Attorney General's office and ask, can we review these? We shouldn't have to do that. So if you could provide a list for me, I'd be okay with it. Thank you.
Okay, motion's been made. I think it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yes, needs to go full council tonight.
Oh, and it goes to full council night. All opposed? Same sign? Okay. Yeas and one nay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and next I have a presentation. Let's see, it's 2 o'clock. Councilor Jordan, you said I could take 10 to 15 minutes of your time, correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'd like to introduce Deb Proctor. Deb is the director of our Cherokee Elder Care Program, and she's going to do a brief...
No PowerPoint?
Do you have a PowerPoint, Debbie?
I do. We prepared a brief PowerPoint. There is some connectivity, IT issues, so I provided a copy in your packets. And I'm happy to hit the high points and respect for your time. It's on the inside left pocket. No, on the inside left side. So appreciate the opportunity. It's always good to share about PACE. And again, I'm Deb Crawford, the director. I wanted to introduce some of the team here. Laura Vance, Quality and Compliance. Daniel Stout, Center Manager. Velma Pittman, CFO and Marketing. So I'll try to just hit some high points to respect your time. But the whole mission of PACE is to try to keep our seniors and our elders in their home as long as it's safe. So what we can do is put various kinds of support so that can happen as long as it's safe and medically feasibly sound. Okay, so Cherokee Elder Care opened in August 2008. We were the first PACE in Oklahoma. We are the first tribally affiliated PACE still to this day. We have a three-way agreement with the state of Oklahoma, Medicaid, and Centers for Medicare, and the tribe. We are a Medicare, Medicaid agency, and therefore it's open to all, not just Native Americans. So then on the third page, we have about 160 participants. About 50% of those are Native. We cover 3,000 square miles, 32 zip codes, 7 counties. Our transportation department is 15 vehicles, and we contract with 200 community and specialist vendors. So then PACE, the requirements to be in PACE: 55. You have to be nursing home eligible as deemed by the state requirements. You must live in our service area. We have on-site clinic. We have physicians, nurse practitioner. We have nutrition. We have RN case managers. We have LPN. We have pharmacy assistants. We contract with a very large risk elder sensitive national PACE pharmacy. We contract with home health agencies for PCAs in the home and occasionally skilled nursing. We have social services on site, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech. We offer respite care. We also provide palliative care when a person reaches that point at their life. And then, by regs, we have an interdisciplinary team. This is mandated. We have regular weekly meetings where the team comes together and works to establish the plan of care and review it. And that's mandated. So I've listed for you all of those team members. And we work with the participant and family. So over to financial and regulatory requirements. PACE saves Oklahoma in annual Medicaid spending almost $2 million a year as compared to regular long-term care and nursing home. And that was 2017 data on 378 participants. So imagine what the cost savings is if we even doubled or tripled that. PACE is responsible to the CFR Title 42, Subchapter E, Part 460. So in the CFR 460, all of our PACE regs are in there. And then I just shared some personal stories of success, and for the sake of time, I guess I would just want to summarize that we have absolutely seen our seniors come in who were very depressed and isolated and just very lonely. And we can see that in a short amount of time, often the light comes back on, the spark comes back on, and I myself have had personal experience with my family members, and the team makes a tremendous difference in the quality and compassionate care that we deliver on site. And you know, with the Adult Day Health Center that we have on site, our elders have established meaningful relationships. It's brought joy again to their lives. We have activities. We take outings. We might go to museums, movies, fishing trips. So I'll leave those with you, but I do want to share that the couple of stories toward the end, the National PACE Association sponsored videos nationally this last summer, and Cherokee Elder Care was tapped to participate in those. So we had a number of our local community members and their caregivers who went on national video, and those are available to be watched if you would like. But Cherokee Elder Care was sponsored, and that was very, very meaningful. And then finally, just to talk about advocacy. As we know, in the state of Oklahoma, we have some budget issues and some revenue issues. And I'll leave out all the gory details, but there are several times that we did come under consideration for even up to 25% cut in our Medicaid, and that'd be pretty hard to survive. But anyway, we actually have presented on the House floor. We have legislators come to our center. We do presentations for other tribes. And so we constantly do legislative outreach for our age, blind, and disabled to promote funding and continuity of care. Last week, Medicare, Cherokee Elder Care did the presentation for Medicare and IHS nationwide on PACE, and so that was an hour webinar. And so we try to constantly do outreach. So anyway, expansion, certainly we can see where this program would be beneficial to all areas. And of course, there's always startup funding, but suppose we save the state $723,000 per year in Medicaid costs per person versus long-term care. And the people get to stay in their homes. Don't we all want that? So anyway, I'm sorry that didn't work. It's always better when you can see it on a screen. But in your packet, we also included some additional just handouts that if you have questions about. This is what we hand out in our community when we do visits. Also included an organizational chart for you. And we also included the IHS Medicare presentation we did last week. And then you can also see that we included the marketing plan, which is pretty extensive, and we are required to submit that to Medicare every year. So if I can answer questions, that might be the best way to help.
Counselor Vasquez?
Yes, I heard you mention expansion, and I noticed that my county is not included in these. How does that come about that you wasn't included?
Right. So when this began 9-10 years ago, there was a feasibility study. And it's important to understand where the dual eligibles are, because that's how we survive. That's our revenue, Medicaid and Medicare. And we, some years ago, they looked at Stillwell, but the latest studies that we've done was that Muskogee would support it. To be honest with you, we've been through 3 years where the state wasn't sure that they would continue even funding that part. So we've had to put the brakes on, but it is in our 5-year strategic plan. And I'd love to see it in your area. I've had calls, and it's just a shame that we can't offer it in more places.
Any other questions? Okay, Councilor Shambaugh.
Maybe just an observation. It seems like in a lot of our communities, I think there's a big need for some type of assisted living for our elders. I think that would be maybe on the horizon, or maybe at least get on the radar. I know it's money and different things like that, but that's becoming kind of a big thing now. But the people I deal with are getting a lot of the age where they, they don't have a place to go, and they have to rely on family and things like that, and that's a difficulty. Have we ever thought about doing anything like that and expanding upon what we have?
I appreciate that question. What we're able to do under our regulations is when we when someone enrolls in our program, as time goes on and their needs become greater, we actually can transition them to assisted living, and we're responsible. They pay their portion, but we're responsible for the balance. But that's under PACE regulations. I mean, if the tribe itself wanted to explore assisted living, I agree with you completely. There is a big need for that. But yes, we also have that under our regulations. But if you're not an enrollee, we can't provide it for you.
Where do they go?
We have contracts, a couple of places in Tahlequah and in Muskogee.
But nowhere else, just those two places?
Well, we use
is there anything in Delaware County? Or,
I'm sorry?
Is there anything in Delaware County?
We have to stay in our zip codes. And so, like, we can come up as far as Kansas and Oaks and Twin Oaks. But for respite or assisted living, they would have to come here. They would have to come to where we have contracts.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Speaker Bird?
Who has the, it's something that if we're looking into something like this, who has the model that we can go look at to do this type of?
For PACE,
yes.
Or for
assisted living?
Assisted living. We've been
PACE, I think we're the model, correct?
Right. I was like, yeah. So we've been working with a number of tribes, and I sure wish we could be on the forefront. But all we would need to do is just send out teams to look at current assisted living. The thing is, assisted living are private pay.
Yeah.
So if the tribe were to take that on, we would have to be willing to fund that as a benefit.
Are there any grants out there in the beginning that start up for?
I bet there would be.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Be worth exploring.
Councilor Walking Stick.
To assisted living, I dealt with the gentleman in my district, the one we have here in Tahlequah. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there was some insurance that they was getting off of this individual for it was, I don't know if it was Medicare B or D, I can't remember what it was, but they were they're getting those funds, but people have made successful businesses off of assisted living. It seemed like it's a good business model. All the people I know that's in it have got wealthy off of it. So, I don't think. I think it's a service to our people, but it could be also a business venture. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, again, it's private pay, and the rates are set according to the disability and the needs of the resident. I really do think after a while you could break even and actually probably serve some
people.
Bottom line.
So yeah, if we could break even and serve some people, it's a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seen one in Stillwell. I'm not sure if is it Sean? Oh, he's not here. I think I see one in Stillwell, and it said Cherokee Nation on there. Is that ours? Assisted living?
No, we don't have an assisted living.
Chief, what is that? It had Cherokee Nation on
It's just
there.
like Wisdom Keepers. It was a
HUD
program that the management company, we own it, but we don't get to operate it for 20 or 25 years. And once 25 years goes, then it comes back to us, and but we don't operate it, we don't run it.
Okay.
They used us to get the original funding, and it was something that came in just before I did.
Okay.
Before I even came on the council.
Okay.
And so they're going to be 23 years into those contracts now.
Gotcha.
So.
I was reading through your packet here, and you were talking about some of the staff development stuff you guys do. So what type of staff development do you guys have for your program for elder care?
Okay, so like onboarding, we have a very structured orientation program. And then we also complete an annual competency for the entire staff. That's a general review of various policies, procedures, regulations. But then licensed and direct care staff are also complete an annual competency.
Okay. What's the one that you guys go out of state on, the Vegas trip? Or
Vegas trip?
Is there a Vegas? Okay,
now there is a national conference, a national PACE conference that we try to attend. And then there is a policy conference, which is in D.C. in the spring, that we try to attend. And you visit your legislators on the Hill, and it's, you know, it's very structured. Maybe that's kind of what you're thinking.
I guess so, because I was talking to some custodial staff over there, and what they were going at is they were talking about the staff or the administration was going out of state and traveling, and their purchase orders was being ceased to buy custodial supplies to improve or uphold the janitorial day-to-day operations there at the elder care. And so they were asking me about it.
Okay.
And they said that you had guys went on a trip, out-of-state trip. I think they said Vegas, but I could be wrong. And they said that there were 6 or 7 admin went on this trip. Can you fill me in on what this trip is?
Sure. I think you're probably talking about the National PACE Conference.
Okay, where's that at?
Oh, it varies. Each year it's between.
What was the one here recently?
The one recently was in Portland.
Was in Portland, Oregon. Okay. And there was 3 people that went?
No, we take the disciplines that are offered sessions. So there would be like finance, marketing, nursing, management, social services. So those people would attend, those departments.
How many of those do you guys normally budget in to go?
Well, there's just one national PACE conference a year.
So do you just budget 2 or 3 people to go?
No, we take the disciplines that are in
6 or
session.
7.
So there could be 5, there could be 6.
Okay.
Now the policy conference, there's usually 2 to 3 that go. We try not to overwhelm the Hill.
So are you holding up purchase orders for janitorial supplies for the elder care?
No, I really don't know.
Okay. All right.
Anything about that.
That's
interesting.
That's what they was explaining to me. So I was wanting to be sure that we're not spending so much money going professional development, but we're neglecting what's going on back home. Okay,
First I've heard about it.
It's news to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never heard of such, but I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
I just wanted to be.
We try to do our purchase orders pretty quick.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Chair.
sure.
Deborah, if you all run into a problem such as that, I do hope that you will let us know, so perhaps we can check into appropriating money should it be needed.
Okay.
Okay, I have some questions.
Okay, sure.
Can you please tell me how many contracts does the Cherokee Elder Care have with vendors for services and supplies and durable medical equipment?
Oh, goodness. Let's see.
I mean, how many different vendors are there? That's probably a better way to
Just
say it.
for DME?
Yeah, DME.
For everything. Well, there's probably at least 2 to 3 just for DME.
Okay, but I know you have a list of preferred providers when you go to your website. Are there any other providers that have contracts with us that are not listed there?
Well, we have about 200 contracts.
Okay, the question came to me.
Okay.
Why is it those on your webpage? How are they on there and the others are not?
Well, right now the Cherokee Nation is helping us update our webpage, so that may be something you're running into as far as it's not updated yet, but we're working on that right now.
Okay, it was explained to me that they felt it was preferential towards some companies and not others who have contracts with CEC as well.
Okay. Well, we welcome anyone. We've had a number of DME companies even come in and visit with us. They are not able to invoice us in the manner which our regulations require.
I guess.
So that might be some of it.
No, I think it's a situation where they want the same notoriety, whatever you want to call it, publicity, statute, whatever you want to call it, on your webpage. That you have some, but you don't have them all.
Right, and we are updating
I think there's
that,
some hurt
so-
feelings perhaps out there,
Okay.
or people who are concerned that some are being shown favoritism. And I want to make you aware of that.
Okay.
And then another situation I have heard about recently is that it's kind of a struggle sometimes to get authorization when it's required. And I know you've got someone here who I think has is involved in that somewhat. Can you explain, I guess, the protocol or what happens when you have to have authorization?
Okay, I think maybe I can give you a pretty good idea. So the interdisciplinary team that I told you the members of, and the participant, whatever the assessment is for every one of those disciplines to help that participant, that elder, that's how the plan of care comes together. So whatever is needed, whatever authorization needs to happen to provide that care, it's done. The team decides it, it goes to administration, we sign off, and it's ordered in supply.
Okay. And then could you please tell me to use Cherokee Elder Care, what is cost based on income, and can you make too much money to qualify?
Yes, it's DHS guidelines.
DHS guidelines. Okay.
And all we do is we try to enroll the person, we get all the information, and then we have to hand off the financial aspect to DHS.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
You ask good questions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I do appreciate you coming here today to
Certainly.
be with us, and I want to wish you and your team Merry Christmas. And our next meeting is scheduled of when? Let's see, I've got it all flipped over here. What we got here?
And you guys are invited to come and eat with us tomorrow.
Absolutely. Monday, the 14th at 1 o'clock. I take a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
Thank you.